Hey guys, this is Jesse with averagejesse.com, and today we are doing part 3 of our prickly pear fruit or Tunas processing videos. Let's see, I've had the juice in the fridge now for about 2 hours, and you'll notice there is some film on top of here. This film is edible. It's not going to hurt you, but what it will do is it will make your jelly cloudy. So I like to take off as much of this as I can and just toss that into the sink. You don't have to get all of it, but try and get the most bit out of it. And then we are ready for making some jelly. Now the recipe that I like to use is 4 cups of juice to 4 cups of sugar. I have noticed that tastes a little more like sugar and a little less like the actual cactus fruit. So today I'm going to do 4.5 cups of juice to 4 cups of sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that out now into a little measuring cup here. And there is 4.5 cups of juice. If you have any juice remaining, as you see that I do here, I'm going to put that in a little baggie and freeze it until I have enough for some more jelly, or I'm having a party and I want to make some cactus coolers or something of that nature. But you can definitely freeze this, so don't let any of it go to waste. One important thing to remember when you're doing your own canning is to make sure everything is sterile. You don't want any unwanted bacteria getting into your fruit. So I've got some boiling water over here in a pot, and I'm going to take all of the mason jars that I think I'm going to use, and I'm going to put them into the boiling water for a couple of minutes to just be absolutely sure that they are sterile. Additionally, this will help with making the mason jars warm, and when you have the warm jelly mixture, you can put it into the mason jar and it won't crack the jars. So I'm going to let this come back to a boil and let these boil for a couple of minutes here, and then I'll pull them out. Here's a close-up of those mason jars sterilizing in the boiling water. That jar on the top, you can see it's got a little air bubble. I will spin that around here in a few minutes to make sure that every surface has some contact with the boiling water, killing off any unwanted germs. While the mason jars are sterilizing, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on high and get this boiling, because this is going to need to start boiling so we can dissolve the sugar in it. Okay, these have been boiling for a while now. I'm going to turn the heat off and move this forward so it stops boiling. Try and preserve as much of the water as you can from these jars, because you're going to need it in a few minutes when it comes time to actually prepare the jelly and to seal the jars. Now, one thing that's really helpful is if you get one of these little canning kit magnets that will allow you to get the lids from the bottom without burning yourself, and it's sometimes a little difficult to get with tongs. So this is definitely a nice investment. Okay, when you've pulled everything out, go ahead and put that back over the heat and put it back on medium-high, because here in a couple minutes we're going to need that again. Alright, our fruit juice is starting to boil, so we're going to add 2 cups of sugar. Let that dissolve in. We're going to let that boil for about 5 minutes and then add the rest of our sugar as well as the pectin. And I'm using some Sure Gel Premium Fruit Pectin. for use in less or no sugar needed recipes. This 1-to-1 ratio of juice to sugar is, believe it or not, a pretty low sugar recipe. So this typically calls for 1-to-1, but as before, I added about a half a cup of additional juice, so that qualifies as low sugar in the jelly world. Okay, while this is boiling, I'm just grabbing a few more of those impurities off the top layer, tossing them into the sink. Again, there's nothing harmful about these. It's just going to ensure that my jelly is nice and clear. Our sauce has been boiling for 5 minutes now. I'm going to go ahead and add both packets of pectin. Stir that in. And this is going to need to boil for 1 minute. Okay, this has been going for a minute. We're going to move it off the heat and crank up the heat on your boiling water up to high. So we need that to be a real good boil here in a minute. And this mixture, what we're going to do now is use our funnel and funnel this mixture in until it's a 1/4 inch from the top. This is going to be extremely hot, so be careful. And fill it till it's about a 1/4 inch from the top and move on to the next one. Alright, we're going to put the lids on. They don't have to be super tight. They do have to be tight enough to make sure that none of the jelly will leak out. And if you have a jar that does not fill up enough, see it's more than a 1/4 inch from the top, that one is going to cool down and go into the fridge. And that's going to be the first one that we're going to eat. So let's put these into the boiling water. And you need to make sure that there's enough water that it will splash over the top of the lids. We're going to leave those in there for a couple of minutes. There are the filled mason jars being covered with boiling water. Okay, it's been about 4 minutes. We're going to turn this off, pull this off the heat, and grab these out of here. And you may hear them pop as you pull them out. That pop sound, when they cool off, is sucking the lid down, which is the sign of a good seal. It's okay if you look at it and it looks super watery and not like jelly. That is okay. It will firm up as it cools down. So the way to tell if you have a good seal is to push on the top of them, and there should be no pop, no spring at all. See, this one has spring in it because I didn't put it in to get sealed because it wasn't full enough. So this one, after it cools down, is going to have to go into the fridge. The rest of these ones here, will need to cool on the counter for about 24 hours, and they can be stored in the pantry for months and months and months, probably even a year. I don't really know exactly, but I know I've stored jelly for over a year and used it without any problems. So that is the end to end. So from harvesting to cleaning to making the jelly out of the prickly pear tunas. I'm going to have some future episodes on other things you can do with some Arizona cactus. But until then, Gentlemen, remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.